In this exercise, you were tasked with creating buttons and bookmarks that allow the user to swap between two different visuals on a Power BI report page. So here I already have the visuals and the buttons created. What I'm going to demonstrate for you is just how to layer these objects together and how to create the bookmarks correctly so that the swapping takes place. And because we're going to be hiding and unhiding objects on the page, we're also definitely going to need the selection pane. So I'm going to go up to View. I'm going to turn on the selection pane, make sure that that's there for me. And if you look over here, I've got my two different charts, and I've also got the buttons that I'm going to be swapping out. So all we need to do first is we just need to layer these visuals correctly on top of each other. It really doesn't matter which way you layer them, because at the end of the day, we're going to be hiding and unhiding them. So none of these visuals are going to be present at the same time. So I've got my buttons here. I've got active versions of my buttons and inactive versions, depending on which bookmark I want to show at a given time. So I'm going to layer my buttons on top of each other. And now we're going to create our bookmarks quickly. So for this exercise, we're going to need two bookmarks, one to show the line chart and another to show the bar chart behind it. So I'll create a bookmark for year-over-year sales. I'll call that year-over-year sales line chart. And I'm going to create another bookmark for total sales by category. Sometimes I put the type of visual that it is in parentheses. Again, for a two bookmark situation, these titles aren't quite as important, but I've developed Power BI reports that have dozens of bookmarks. So the more information you can give yourself so that you can keep tabs on everything, the easier your life is going to be. Okay, now I just need to worry about making sure that the correct items are hidden and visible depending on which bookmark is active. So let's start with the year-over-year sales line chart. Obviously, I want the year-over-year line chart visible. I don't need the bar chart behind it visible, so I'll hide that. I do want my year-over-year line chart active button visible, but I don't want the button behind it. I also don't want the active button for the bar chart visible, so I'll hide that. And then I will try to find, okay. There we go. And now I've hidden the inactive version of the year-over-year line chart button. Again, a good idea is to give your buttons names. So if you wanted to just quickly go through here and name this one year-over-year off, I can name this button year-over-year on. This is because Power BI just gives all of these buttons the same names. It can be very confusing when you're doing this if you don't name your buttons accordingly. So I'll call this one total sales off. And by default, that means that this one is total sales on. And I'm going to save these settings to this year-over-year sales line chart bookmark. Now to pull off the swap, all I want to do is I just want to reverse which items are visible and which ones are hidden. So I'm going to quickly go through here and just click on my eye icons and swap everything out. I'm going to swap out the line chart by hiding it, and I'm going to reveal the total sales bar chart. And I want to make sure that my active button corresponds with the visual that I'm showing, and it does. I've got my bar chart, and I've got my total sales by video game category. I'm going to right click or hit the three dots on my bookmark for total sales by category and update it. And now I can confirm that these two bookmarks are doing exactly what they should. For a user who is selecting these buttons, it'll appear that they're just swapping back and forth between these two visuals, even though all they're really doing is triggering different bookmarks that are hiding and unhiding things. So let's go ahead and make sure that we assign the correct bookmark actions. So I'm going to go to my actions on my bar chart button and assign that my bar chart bookmark. Then I'm going to assign the correct action to my inactive line chart button. So I'll go to the actions, select bookmark, and select my year-over-year sales line chart bookmark. And now when users interact with these buttons, it alternates between the two different visuals. This might be a little bit awkward for new students at first, but once you get the hang of doing this, this is something you can do in a matter of minutes that is really going to add more interactivity and really wow your stakeholders that are using your Power BI reports.